Well, good morning and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants event. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I'll be your host for today. October. October is all about space exploration here at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, and we've been connecting with astronauts, engineers, scientists, all of whom are helping us explore beyond our planet, out into the solar system, and out into our galaxy, and further into the universe. And then, of course, they help us turn a lens back on our planet and see the Earth in ways that was never possible before. So we still have a ton of live content coming up. We might even have another surprise or two to announce in the next few days. So do check out exploringbytheseat.com. You can find all the events that are coming up, or you can look at the past lessons and tune into anything that you might have missed. Okay, so today's event, we are going to talk a little bit about our dark skies. And for many of us who are living in cities, our skies just aren't as dark as they used to be. So we're going to connect with Helen Painter, Wood Buffalo National Park. Wood Buffalo National Park is the largest dark sky preserve in the world. I did not know that until we set up this lesson, so that's pretty darn cool. And so, yeah, we're going to connect with Helen and explore the beauty of our dark sky with Parks Canada. So let's get Helen in live with us right now. Here we go. Hey, Helen, how are you?
Hello, Joe. Thank you so very much. I'm doing very good. It's actually 10 a.m. and still morning for me here in the Northwest Territories.
All right, fair enough. Well, it is great to have you live with us. Um, I'm about an hour and a half outside of Toronto in a little village
Okay.
called Elora. So our skies are relatively dark, not too bad. But I know from being in the cities, oh my gosh, sometimes you look up and you only see a handful of stars.
Yes, that's true. That is light pollution, they call it. But lucky for me here in the Northwest Territory, as even in Fort Smith where I live, there's not a lot of light. So often I can just look up when I finish work or at my house, and then I can see the stars. And some days, unfortunately, the northern light or the aurora borealis is so bright that I can't even see the stars. This is
Oh,
often we laugh at
that
it,
sounds
but
pretty
it's so
rough.
funny. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, Helen, we've got a great group of classrooms.
yeah.
I can see some of them online already starting to say hi. We've got 7B with Miss Zwani hanging out with us. We've got Miss Shields' crew are saying hi from Peel. So don't be shy. Use that chat sidebar. Say hi. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And then we're going to be looking for questions soon. But for now, Helen, I'm going to let you take over for a little bit.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much. Give me 2 seconds. I'm just gonna bring my presentation up in on the screen for you guys so you can follow me along
Of
and make
course.
sure you can see everything I want to show you.
Sounds good.
Here we go. Let me know when you can see it.
I've got it. It looks good. Perfect.
Excellent. Thank you. So, hello, bonjour, miyake kiksipa, tensei. My name is Ellen Penter, and I am very fortunate to be an outreach officer for Parks Canada here in the Northwest Territories. So I live about the 60th parallel in the Great Northern Canada. So today is one of my passion. I love dark sky. I love laying in the grass or laying in the snow in the winter and looking above the sky, above my head, looking at the sky to see what I can see and also recognize some stars, constellation, or any other elements I can in the night sky. So before I carry on, I want you can just listen to my voice, or you can close your eyes, or you can look at the screen if you want to. I have a little video for you at some of the night sky that we can see here in Wood Buffalo National Park. So like I said earlier to Joe, sometimes we look at the sky, and I'm guilty of that. And I was like, oh, I look at constellation, I look at like stars, and then the northern lights are coming and they are so bright and so active. Then sometimes we can barely see the beauty of the night sky behind the northern lights. So for many people in my family that live in Quebec, they find that pretty funny because they're like, we would love to see northern lights or aurora borealis, also known as, but then In the winter here in Fort Smith and in Wood Buffalo, the northern lights are there all the time. So last week, as I left the office, it was shortly after 6, 7 p.m., and the northern lights were already dancing above my head. And I will talk about northern lights, aurora borealis, in a little bit. I would like to acknowledge that here in Fort Smith, Tebacha, I am in Treaty 8 territory, so on the traditional land of Salt River First Nation, Smith's Landing, Tebati Denisolidae Nation, and the Fort Smith Métis. Maybe you wonder, well, but Ellen, I'm not too sure where you are actually. So if you look on the map, you'll see the beautiful big family of Parks Canada with all the sites across the country. If you see the little sun, this is me. That's where I live in Fort Smith, beside Wood Buffalo National Park. And like Joe said, Wood Buffalo National Park is the largest dark sky preserve in the world and the largest national park in Canada. So I am very, very happy, fortunate to have the largest national park in my backyard. So today I will be talking to you about Wood Buffalo National Park as the largest dark sky preserve in the world. But Parks Canada has other dark sky preserves that are close to you. So maybe on the map you're like, oh, I live right here, right here. There is other sites that you can go visit. So there's 13 dark sky preserve sites across the country. But maybe you wonder as well, Ellen, I'm not too sure what is a dark sky preserve. Maybe in your class you ask your friend, your teacher, well, what is a dark sky preserve? And that is totally fine. It's not often well known. What is a dark sky preserve? Why do we need to save the dark? Why do we need certain area across the country, across the world, where the darkness is present all the time? The darkness is very important for many reasons, especially for animals that are needing the night to be able to go feed. We can think about bats, for example. Also, we need areas that are protecting that darkness to reduce light pollution, because nowadays we know in the cities there's more and more lights, and often the lights, rather than shining down on the street or wherever they need to shine, they're often open and they will shine towards the sky, so that create the light pollution. So these areas are very important to preserve for the ecosystem, the biology, um, and also to make sure we reduce all our light pollution. So in Wood Buffalo National Park, lucky for us, we do not have any light in the park whatsoever at all. If you go in Wood Buffalo, you will have light if somebody is like having their flashlight or their headlamp, or if they are driving their vehicle, of course, in the dark, they will use their light. Here in the north, you have to know as well that it gets dark for a long time. So basically at this time of year, around 6 p.m., 7, it's getting dark. In January, February are our darkest time. December, usually when I finish work at 5 p.m., it's already dark because it started being dark around 3:30 in the afternoon. And in the morning, it's going to be dark around 9, 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. So our daylight is very short in the winter. But the beauty of it is it's going to be cold, it's going to be dark, and then you can see stars, constellation. You can see northern lights at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when the activity of the sun is very to its maximum. In the summer, that's the opposite. It doesn't get dark very often. July, August are often almost our 22-hour daylight. So basically, it could be 2 o'clock in the morning and I can be outside without any light because it's still bright outside. So summers are longer days. We cannot see the stars, neither constellation nor northern light in the summer because there is no darkness. But in the winter, it is dark for a long time. Now I want to know, think about this. Have you ever visited a park at night? It could be a national park, it could be a dark sky preserve, it could be a territorial park, or maybe you went into the playground close to your house. Did you see anything? If you live in big cities, the chances maybe you'll say, I didn't see nothing because there's so much light. But if you had the chance to go and visit a park outside the city, outside the suburb, outside, like in the wilderness, maybe you went, or maybe you went in farmland, and then you stopped and you started looking at the sky, most likely you will, or you probably have seen maybe some planets, depends of the time of year you went. Maybe you saw some constellation, maybe you saw some stars shining bright above your head. Now let's backtrack in time a little bit. So we talk often about the universe. The universe is gigantic. In the universe is about 14 billion years old, so very, very old. In the universe, there's all kind of galaxies. Our galaxy, it is called the Milky Way galaxy. This is where we live. This is where our solar system is. This is where our planets are. And this is where Earth and us, that's where we live. So 14 billion years old, that's the age of the universe. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, has a lot in it. So this is our living quarter. That's where we are. And then when you look above your head, you can see millions, billions of stars above your head as well. So when you look, often you can maybe see the Milky Way, maybe not. It's like a big band of dust that is often going from what it looks from one angle to the other angle in the sky, and often it's very, very bright, or sometimes it's fainted because the Milky Way galaxy is millions of kilometers away from us. Now, Milky Way galaxy is very huge. This is our galaxy, and we are lucky to see many stars, but of course we do not see all the stars in the Milky Way if we are in the northern hemisphere. People in the southern hemisphere will see other kind of stars, and they will see other kind of constellation as well. In the Milky Way galaxy, there's about 250 million stars, so that's a lot of stars. Sometimes stars will be, we can see them very big and bright, and sometimes we don't see them at all. Do you know why? Do you know some stars seems huge, very, very big, and some stars are super small? It's because they are at different distance from Earth. So some stars, we will not see them at all because they are light years away from us. They are thousands of kilometers away from Earth. So they might be big, but because they're very far, we don't see them. The stars that we see most of the time is because they are closer to us, and some stars are very giant, so it is easier for us to see them as well. But then, what is a star? Often we depict the star as, the star shape, like you can see behind me on my display here, the yellow triangle or star shape, right? But what is a star? What is it made of? If your answer was, it is a big ball of gas, you are correct. A star is a big ball of gas that will burn in deep in our sky. So it is often very, very hot. Some stars might be, and I have my two stars right here. Some stars will be blue and some stars will be red. Funny, isn't it? Some blue stars, do you think they are hot or they are cold? I'll give you 2 seconds to think about it. Maybe you're like, I think they are cold. Usually blue mean cold like water. That is the opposite. A star that is blue is very hot, and a star that is red is super cold. So in our galaxy, in our sky, if we look, these hot star, they're gonna be blue, and sometimes they can burn at 40,000 degrees Celsius. That is very hot. The colder one are still hot. They can be 3,000, 4,000 degrees Celsius as they burn, but they are the coldest one. of the stars. And some stars are very, very little, and some stars are super big, and they are called supergiant. Many stars might be at the end of their life, and many stars are only at the beginning of their life. So maybe they were born into a nebula, which is the nursery for the star. Some stars just got born, and others are thousands years old as well. But often when we look at stars, we look at them in the night. That's where we can see their brightness the most because it's dark outside. But is there some stars, do you think, or a star that we can see during the day? There is one that we can see, and it is the sun. The sun is a star that will burn very, very hot, far, far away from us. So at its core, the sun is about 15,000 degrees Celsius. At the corona, what is on the outside, we call it the corona, it's about 5,000 degrees Celsius. Still pretty hot. And the sun, when it gets very excited and you can see that kind of like moving around, that's when the sun gets excited and will send a flux of wind or a solar wind to Earth, and that will create something that we'll be talking about in a few minutes. So the sun is the closest star to the Earth. This is why we see it very bright and it's super hot. So this is why in the summer we can feel the warmth of the sun as well. So we know stars are a big ball of gas. In many group or many nation, indigenous nation or many tribe across the world, when they look upon the sky or upon the stars, they can see shapes. So this is called a constellation. So it's a group of stars that will make a design, make a shape in the sky. The asterism, it is similar but a little bit different. So basically, instead of being a shape of a specific constellation, it's going to be a shape of multiple constellation together to create a bigger shape. And often an asterism will use the brightest stars from different constellation to create a bigger pattern. In the northern hemisphere, we have the winter cycle, we call it, where it's take about 6 stars from the brightest 6 star of 6 constellation, and then we'll create the winter pattern or the winter cycle as well. I said when the sun gets super excited in the winter time, most of the time, it will send so much energy to the earth, and that what creates the northern lights. Lucky for me, here in Wood Buffalo and in the Fort Smith where I live, I could see northern lights all the time. This is an idea of what the beauty of the sky we can see on a daily basis in the winter. So basically by the end, mid-August, all the way often to May, or end of April and beginning of May, when it starts getting lighter longer, that's when I can see northern lights or aurora borealis. Often they will be moving, often they will be, it looks like they're dancing. And for many indigenous nation around this area here in Fort Smith, they represent the elders, the spirit of the elders that are coming to talk to you. So if you look on the picture, there's 2 ways of interpreting these pictures. The first one on the left side look like an eagle. Do you see it? You can see the shape of the bird, and the northern lights are creating the wings. For many Dene people of this area, often after a person dies, their spirit will be transferred into an animal. For many people, the eagle is sign of good fortune and then good news. So some people will see eagles all the time, and it will bring them good news. Seeing a northern lights or aurora borealis that looks like an eagle mean good news are coming their way. On the other side, on the right side, the picture that is there, a lot of people will see either a bison or they will see a bear. in the shape of the northern lights. In many stories, the bear has either a good connotation or a bad connotation, and I will have a story for you in a couple minutes. So the bear is also very smart animal. So seeing a bear in the northern light mean good fortune, good news as well, but also somebody will come visit your house. Somebody very, very smart will come into your house to tell you either traditional stories or will bring you any Western knowledge that will help you through your life as well. Sometimes the northern lights will move, sometimes they will not, depending of the days. The colors of the northern lights as well will depend when all those charged proton and neutron will enter our atmosphere. There is the green northern lights, more often that's what we will see. There is the purple northern lights, the pink and the red, depending at which level or layer or kilometers above Earth, above the ground, sorry, they will enter our atmosphere. It will change the color of the northern lights. Often the purple, the red are not really seen with your eyes, but you can see them if you use very good camera like my friend John, or if you have sometime very good video camera, very good camera, and sometime maybe in some devices, often new phones have better cameras, you can capture it by doing a long exposure. If not, your naked eye will not see those purple because they are often 3, 4, 500 kilometers up in our atmosphere as well. Maybe you wonder, well, but Ellen, how does it work? How I don't understand how the northern lights are happening. So let me show you a video and I will pause it because the video goes a little bit fast and then I'll tell you about the northern lights. So basically, the sun is a little bit like me. It gets super excited. It has so much energy that it needs to send that energy away. So basically, the sun will move a flux of energy, so a solar wind, it will have like very, very hot, it will be pushed towards planet Earth, and then it may take about 3 to 4 days for the solar flux to reach us. But of course, imagine receiving a solar wind of 5,000 degrees Celsius. You will not be able to survive. So planet Earth is very smart and say, I'm gonna have my invisible shield. I will protect myself. So it almost looked like some people say it almost looked like a squid or something with the magnitude. So basically, the shield that is in the front will like wrap around planet Earth and will go behind her and then will create that kind of like a small explosion when the north and the south of the shield will meet, and then it creates that kind of collision, that kind of reaction, and then when that reaction comes back, that's what bring that those proton and neutron to the magnetic pole, and then that's what creates the northern lights. So basically, if you go in the north or if you go in the south, the northern lights or southern light will be slightly different. So maybe the colors will be slightly different as well. And it depends if the sun is super, super excited, then for many days you may have that those magnificent northern lights. There is time during the year where the northern lights are happening more often. Here in the north, usually October, November, December, January, February, they're cold when it's like minus 40 outside. That's when you go outside and see the northern lights all day. I will pause my presentation right here and then I will use what I have around me here. So we talk about dark sky, we talk about preserving the dark, but my studio here is slightly bright. So let me see if I can change to bring the light into my studio and see if you can see behind me what my display is doing for you. So you should be able to see it. So this is what I can see in the night, often here in Fort Smith. I'm just gonna adjust my camera for you, 2 seconds, so you can see a little bit better. There you go. So I am lucky, like I said, to see a lot of northern lights, but there is few constellations that I deeply love that I see all the time in our night sky. So you may potentially see them on my wall here. We have the Big Dipper and the Small Dipper, and we have on the side Orion. These are my favorite constellation. And above me, I will move my camera in a couple of seconds. You will see Cassiopeia. These are often the easiest one to see in our northern sky. So, funny story, maybe not funny, but very interesting traditional story about the Big Dipper and the Small Dipper. If you don't know how to find the Small Dipper from the Big Dipper, find the Big Dipper first. The two front stars, if you line them up, you will find the tail of the Small Dipper. And this precise star is super important in our northern sky because this is Polaris, or the North Star. This is the star closest to the North Pole or magnetic pole, and this star will be all the time at the same place in our northern sky. Polaris, which is super interesting about Polaris, she's a super giant. And Polaris is about 470 light year away from us. What does that mean? So it may take about 470 years to see the light from Polaris. So when we look at the star, we actually look in the past. So we look about 470 years back in the past. So this is what we see, Polaris, the North Star. The North Star here is 8 times bigger than the sun. We know that the sun is huge in our sky, but Polaris is even bigger, and it's about 2,000 times brighter than the sun. It's just because it's very far away from us. This is why it doesn't seem to be that big or that bright, but it's a very, very, very bright star that is burning very, very hot as well. The constellation of Big Dipper and Small Dipper are also called Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, or the Big Bear and the Small Bear. In traditional stories from First Nation, there is a story about the Big Dipper, which is depicted in the mythology, especially the Greek mythology, as a big bear, like think grizzly bear, very big bear. So the story goes as many group villages were threatened by that big bear. The bear was coming, ravaged, like eating all the animals' food, scaring the villages and scaring the people in the village and scaring everybody, to the point where the chiefs got together and say, we need to do something about that bear. What can we do? They went to see an oracle, and the oracle said, you need to send your best hunter and hunt the bear. So in the tail of the Big Dipper, you can see the 3 stars, which are depicted as the 3 hunters. So the 3 hunters took their bow and arrow and started chasing that bear. But the bear is smart. That's a very smart animal. So the bear saw the hunters coming. So he decided to start running. So the hunts went for days, weeks, months, years. They were still chasing that bear because that was their duty to get rid of the bear. So at one point, the bear said, I have no more escape. I cannot outrun these hunters. The only thing I can do is jump in the sky. And so he did. So the bear ran as fast as he could, jumped in the sky. But the hunters were very close behind. And the first hunter that was closest to the bear took his bow arrow, shot the bear. The arrow touched the bear. It didn't kill it, but it wounded one of its side. And in traditional knowledge, they say that when the constellation of the Ursa Major, the Big Bear or the Big Dipper, is just above the horizon, which is usually at this time of year, October, there will be a little bit of blood from the wound of the bear that will drip on earth, drip on the trees. And this is why the leaves are turning orange and red in the fall, because the blood of the constellation of the Big Bear is dripping on earth, and that's what changed the color of the leaves. That is traditional knowledge. That is people, First Nation, that have been that live on the land for years. And here in Fort Smith and in the north, traditional knowledge is very, very important. Traditional knowledge usually is not written, it's passed on from generation to generation, and it's passed on orally. So there's a lot of stories that you will not find written anywhere in books or written on the internet, because it has to be orally passed from ancestors, elders, grandparents to their children and their grandchildren. So often you have a privilege to be there and listen to those stories. And there's certain stories, traditional knowledge stories, as a non-Indigenous person, I do not have the right to tell the story because it's only from Indigenous people to Indigenous people. But there's other stories just like this one that I have the fortunate um, chance to be able to tell you the story I know. Another thing is Orion, another constellation that I deeply love. Orion is depicted in Greek mythology as like one of the true hunter, great hero. Like you can see him as a big hunter, and of course, he's like very handsome too. What very very interesting about Orion, often we can see his belt. So if you have look up on the sky, you probably have found Orion first. Usually Orion is one that we can find quite a lot, and it has three stars on its belt: Alnatak, Alnalan, and Mintaka. These stars are actually blue. That means they're very cold. We see in our sky three stars, but actually there is six of them, because Alnatak and Mentaka are two stars and even three stars together, but because they're so close to each other, we see only one in our sky. What's interesting about Orion too is few stars in his constellation. So the one that is depicted underneath its armpit, it's called Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse is a supernova. Betelgeuse is about 10 million years old. Very, very old star. It is the eighth brightest star in our sky. She's a super giant, and the star is blue too, so very, very warm as well. And it is about 643 years, light years away from us. So when we look at Betelgeuse, we look in the past about 643 years ago. One star in the constellation of Orion that sometimes we don't see, but it is even brighter than Betelgeuse, is the one at the bottom that's called Rigel. Rigel in Arabic means left foot. So basically, this is Rigel. It's the sixth star, brightest star in our sky, and it is part of the foot of Orion. There is many, many stories that exist about Orion and how Orion was born. Which one is true? It's hard to tell. But one story that I know is that Orion's dad was a lonely shepherd, a widow shepherd, had no no wife. He lived in a farm and had few cattle or bull. And then three passengers stopped by one time to his farm, and Orion's dad was very generous and wanted to have them for supper, but he didn't have enough food, so he decided to sacrifice one of his animal to be able to feed these passengers. But little did he know that they were three gods. So we're talking about Poseidon, Zeus, and Aramis, I believe. And then they ended up staying for supper. And then they were asking him, if we can grant you a wish, what would it be? And he said, I would like a son. I would like somebody with me. So they say, okay, you can dig a hole, put the hide of the animal you just killed, put it in the hole, and then add a little bit of urine in it, on it, and then cover that, and in 9 months dig it out. And then so he did find it a little bit strange, but he did. And then 9 months later, when he dig it out, Orion was born. And that's how he become through time the most uh the best hunter of all time. And of course, so certain other god didn't like that Orion was so powerful, because through the other gods that were there for supper, he got a little bit of power from them as well, to become one of the biggest and best hunter in the world. Another constellation here. And Joe, you keep me on track for time if I'm too long. This is my last one.
Okay, I was just going to say we should get to some Q&A soon,
Okay.
but if you want to finish up with the last one, and then we'll
Okay.
jump right in.
Okay, perfect. I'm just gonna lift my camera a little bit so you can see Cassiopeia just above me. Do you see the W? The W here is Cassiopeia. So Cassiopeia is another constellation, often will be right above your head in the northern sky. And Cassiopeia, the story I know, come from the Greek mythology. So Cassiopeia is was the queen of Ethiopia. So, and her husband Cepheus were he was the king of Ethiopia. They had a beautiful daughter, Andromeda. And of course, Cassiopeia was not the nicest lady, the nicest queen, and she was very vain, and she was bragging about her daughter and herself being the most beautiful lady in the entire kingdoms. So, especially her daughter Andromeda. Of course, other gods and other king and queen heard about Cassiopeia, like bragging about their beauty, and they were quite mad about it. So they wanted to send Cassiopeia and Cepheus a message saying, stop bragging and telling that you are the most beautiful. So they went to see an oracle and they say, what can we do? What kind of message can we send to Cassiopeia? And oracle said, you need to send the monster Cetus. Everybody knew the monster Cetus is the worst sea monster ever. He will destroy everything upon his way. So he has destroyed kingdoms, he has destroyed houses, he has destroyed everything, and is very huge and powerful sea creature. So Cassiopeia and Cepheus heard that Cetus was coming to their kingdom to destroy everything. So the only thing they could do to stop Cetus was to do a sacrifice. Of course, beautiful Andromeda said, I will save my people and I will save my kingdom. I will sacrifice myself to the monster Cetus. She was chained to a rock, left to her destiny. But the story doesn't finish there. Of course, there was a beautiful hunter, not Orion, but a beautiful hunter that was traveling on his horse Pegasus. So he saw the beautiful Andromeda on the rock chain, and he saw the monster Cetus coming. So Perseus decided to come and save Andromeda. But what we know is that Perseus just finished battling a lady that has snake for hair, Medusa. And what do we know about Medusa? We know that whoever look upon her eyes will be changed to stone. So Perseus, on top of his horse Pegasus, was flying, plucked the head of Medusa and show it to the monster Cetus, who the monster Cetus saw look upon her eyes and was transferred to stone instantly. Of course, Perseus saved the day and fell in love with the beautiful Andromeda. And then they could live happily after forever. Poseidon and other gods were very, very angry that their plan didn't work. So, as a revenge, they decided to send Cassiopeia and Cepheus and Andromeda up in the sky for eternity and roam above everybody's else kingdom and be there for eternity so they can see that over time they are not the most beautiful king, queen, and princess of all the kingdoms. So this is the story I know about Cassiopeia, Orion, and Big and Small Dipper. So thank you so very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed and you learned a little bit. And Joe, we can go for some question. And I'm just gonna turn my lights back on so I can see better.
Excellent.
Thank
Well,
you.
I am going to, Helen, combine our
Yes.
question and answer
Yes.
period today with a quick Kahoot quiz as well. So
Woohoo.
we're going to tackle both at the same time. What I'm going to do is share my screen, and you're going to see it come up here in just a moment. There we go. Perfect. If you are joining us and want to play some Kahoot, you need to follow these instructions. Go to kahoot.it, kahoot.it. It'll come up on your screen. You need to put in a PIN number, 775-4896. If you have technology, tablet or mobile, the room, you can shout out the answers to your teacher. Or if you're joining from home, scan the QR code with a phone or a tablet, and it will bring you in. While we wait for some students to come and join us in the Kahoot, I'm going to read out some questions here from the chat. So if you're in the chat, don't be shy. Put in some questions for us. I've got some here already. We also have a group with us backstage, Miss Beck's crew in Atwood, Ontario. So I'm going to start with them. I'm going to bring them into the call and see if they have a question or two for you, Helen, about the night sky while we wait for a few groups to join and play Kahoot with us. So Miss Beck's crew, if you're there, if you want to unmute the microphone, we'd love to grab a question or two from you.
They're entering their Kahoot.
No, I don't see them unmuting, so that's okay. Miss Beck's crew, if you can still hear me, you can use the chat sidebar. But let's go with some questions here that came in via the chat.
Sure.
So Miss Shields' group is joining us from Peel Virtual Elementary School, and they're wondering about the Northern Lights. Is there a time, this is from Hiba, is there a time that they were really memorable to you, that they really stood out?
There is so many, and this is the beauty for the Northern Lights. Even though you have seen them millions of times, they're always beautiful. But I remember one time it was New Year's Day, well, New Year's night, and then here in town we have a little bit of a festival outside of town, and then that night has everybody gathered. That's when they started dancing a lot. So here in the community we have a lot of like non-indigenous but a lot of indigenous people too, so they were telling story about why they're dancing. And for many people, dancing Northern Lights means that the ancestors are coming to see you, greet you, to tell them that they have moved on to heaven or to a very nice place after they passed away. So this is super. I remember the Northern Lights were beautiful, and also to be added all the stories from the indigenous people around just made it so wonderful. And that was a good start of the year because it was January 1st.
All right. Well, I have Miss Beck's crew here now, I believe. I think they were having some tech difficulties, but if you want to unmute Mrs. Beck, we'll grab a question or two before we play some Kahoot.
How many types of stars are there?
How many types of stars? Well, it depends if you're looking for color. There's different blue, red. Sometimes you have supergiants. Sometimes you have like those that are just being born in a nebula. I don't know if that is your question, but often a star will always be a big ball of gas. So at the core, they're all the same. It will depend if they are bigger or smaller, and if they are warm or if they are cold. I hope that answered the question.
Okay. Do you have one more handy for there, Mrs. Beck's crew, before we play some Kahoot?
We do.
Excellent.
How many galaxies are there?
Ooh, there is about 1,000 galaxies. Of course, in the Milky Way is our galaxy. The closest galaxy to us is the Andromeda galaxy, but inside the universe, there's like thousands of galaxies all over.
Yeah, it's crazy. The James Webb Telescope, Space Telescope. We had an event yesterday with Natalie, who's our outreach officer, and we're discovering more and more galaxies. The more we look out into our universe, I think scientists are thinking, astronomers are thinking that it could be as high as billions of galaxies.
Wow.
So imagine how big that universe is. Imagine billions of galaxies, billions of stars in every galaxy. All of those stars, or a lot of them, will have planets. It's crazy to think how huge our universe is. It's, you know, when we look at that night sky, we are looking at a massive expanse of universe. It's pretty exciting.
And maybe now with all the discovery they do, maybe they'll have to redefine what a galaxy is, because maybe now the definition will be different. If there's billions and billions, they're like, okay, maybe they're not called galaxy anymore. We'll call them something else.
All right. Well, let's play some Kahoot and see how our students do with our new dark sky learning. There are multiple choice. There's true and false. The quicker you put in the right answer, the more points you are going to get. Here we go. This is a multi-select. So if you want to get this answer right, you need to pick two answers. Where is Wood Buffalo National Park? Is it Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta, or the Northwest Territories? So extra time on the clock because it's a multi-select question. Where is Wood Buffalo National Park? Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta, or the Northwest Territories? I'll give you the huge hint right now. If you only pick one, you're not going to get the full points. So you have a couple more seconds to lock something in. All right. Good job, crew. Most went with Alberta and Northwest Territories. Yes. The harmonic owl is in that top spot. We have a true or false coming your way. There are 6 dark sky preserves across Canada. True or false? There are 6 dark sky preserves across the country of Canada. Canada's pretty darn big. What do you think? Are there 6? Or are we trying to fool you here with this question? All right. Good job, crew. Most went with false. I believe, Helen, you said there were 13 across the country?
13. Yes, 13.
All right. Very cool. The harmonic owl is holding on to that top spot. Our next multiple choice. How many stars are there in the Milky Way galaxy? 1 million, 250 million, 100 million, or 150 million. So remember, this won't be exactly, but Helen gave us a rough number. Is it about 1 million? Is it about 250 million, about 100 million, or about 150 million stars in our super cool, beautiful Milky Way galaxy? You've got 6 seconds to lock in your answer.
That's a lot of stars.
A lot of stars. All right. Good job, crew. About 250 million stars. We've got one more question coming your way. The Rapid Carp has snuck into first place, but this true or false question will decide it all. A star that is blue is very hot. What do you think? A star that is blue is very hot. Is that true? Is that false? What did we learn today about a star that is very blue?
True.
Good job. True. It is, even though cold, you might think blue and cold. The blue stars are the hotter stars. Good job, team. We've got a podium to look at. In third place, we've got the mythical giraffe. In second place, the yellow elephant. And our top spot is going to the mesmerizing bunny. So we had some movement, jumping around on the scoreboard. Great job, crew. Thanks for playing Kahoot with us. I'm going to turn that music off, and we'll turn our attention to some more questions here from the YouTube chat. Let's see. Okay, we've got a class here. Miss Sampson's class is in the Northwest Territories, and they want to know 2 questions about the auroras,
Yes.
the Northern Lights.
Yes.
So they're lucky in Yellowknife. They get to see them all the time, but they're wondering why groups further south don't get to see them as often.
That is a very good question. Thank you. And I'm happy to see a group from Yellowknife. That is so close. It's still far, but close. Often it depends, because when you live in the Arctic Circle, so basically 60th parallel and above, you're closer to the magnetic pole where the Northern Lights are. And of course, here in the north, we have longer nights. So as you go south, sometimes the magnetic is not as strong, and often you don't see all those northern lights. But there is exception where there's very high activity from the sun. Often that magnetic band, it can go south a little bit more and then create the northern lights. But as you get closer to the pole, so higher in the 60, 70, 80, 80th parallel, the chances are stronger to see very colorful northern lights.
All right. And so they also notice they dance in the sky. Yeah. Why does it look like they're dancing in the sky?
So basically, it's very scientific. So basically, there is molecule. They're like charged with energy, we call it. It's like, I'll give you an analogy, maybe grain of sand. Let's pick sand, and then there's a ton of sand coming into our atmosphere. So basically, they are dancing because those little charged molecule, they are entering our atmosphere at different fraction of second. So basically, that's why we see them dancing. Is just like they are entering our atmosphere at different time. That's the scientific way of describing it.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, Ms. Beck's class, if you have another question, just let me know in the private chat. But I'm going to grab a couple more from the YouTube chat before we say goodbye for today. Mm-hmm. So we've got Nahir joining us in grade 7 in Ontario. And their question is about the colors. So what color it might be the rarest to see in the night sky?
Of the northern lights?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So basically the purple, sometimes the red will be the hardest. Most of the northern lights will be green, which means they are about 100 to 150 kilometers in the atmosphere. If they are even higher, so when we go 300, 400, 500 kilometers, that's those purple and red colors. And often the northern lights will not be as high as that. It will happen, but you really, it's it and miss most of the time. But because we cannot see them, those colors, with our naked eye, sometimes we don't think they're there. They might be there or not. But the most common, pink and green, those are the one we see almost weekly.
All right. Miss Beck's crew does in fact say they'd like to pop in for another question. So I'll let them go ahead and unmute their microphone. And we're ready for you when you're ready.
Are shooting stars dying?
Are the star dying?
They're wondering more specifically, you know what we call shooting stars. They're wondering if that's a star that's dying.
A shooting star is, that is a really good question. I think it's a star that, it looks like a star, but often is like a combination of a lot of atmosphere debris, like rocks and ice. And as they enter our atmosphere, they will melt. And then it looks like they're dying, but they're just because they are dissolving into our atmosphere. And they are entering at very fast rate, very fast speed. So they look like they're moving super fast in our atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. So I know it's tricky because the light looks so much like a star, but it's little rocks that are moving through our atmosphere, meteors, right? So, yeah, I know it can be really tricky because we say wish upon a falling star, wish upon a shooting star, but it's like those stories you told us, you
Yeah.
know, hundreds, thousands of years ago, we'd look at the night sky and we would try to explain things and what's happening.
Mhm. Yeah,
It sure looked like stars were moving back then.
that's right. Thank
Yeah. Great question, Miss Beck's crew. Very cool.
you.
All right. Well, let's see if we can grab one more here from online. Okay, last question here. Tools for looking at the night sky. Are there any tools that you use when you look at the night sky?
Well, I have a telescope. This is a good one. If you really want to zoom into a specific star, you can, of course, there's all kind of telescopes you can get. You can get those that are not that expensive, but then you can get those that are like thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
To look at the star, other than the telescope, sometimes I just go outside and I wait that my eyes get accustomed to the dark, because often when there's light it will take time for your eyes to adjust, so you need to wait at least sometime 20 minutes, depends of the area you were in, for your eyes, and then your eyes will let you see better in the dark, and you'll be able to see more stars that maybe you haven't even paid attention to them like 10 minutes ago because your eyes was not fully adjusted. But most of the time we have some telescope that we use. Those are most of the tool currently that we are using.
Yeah, great. I sometimes use my binoculars. They're not the best in the
Yeah.
world, but you can get a little better view of something like Mars or Venus or the surface of
Yeah.
the moon. So those can be helpful too. And the best thing you can do is get away from the city, get away from those lights,
Yeah.
go up north, visit a
Yeah.
cottage or something, go right up to Northwest Territories, and then you're going to get just a completely different sky. It's amazing.
Yeah, totally.
All right. Well, I want to start off with a huge shout out to our classrooms. Thank you to our camera crews, our YouTube classrooms. Thanks for playing along and sending in all those amazing questions. And then a shout out to you, Helen, and Parks Canada. Thank you for another great event, especially one so nicely related to our space exploration month.
Well, thank you so very much for inviting me and having me, and I hope this gave you a little bit of a passion to start exploring the night sky. The sky has so many things that we can talk about, and even me, I don't know everything, but I'm always willing to learn some more and find a fact, find a stars, one star in your sky, or learn about the northern lights. There's always so much you can learn and be interested in, so I hope this help you to get even more interested to learn about the sky and our galaxies and the Milky Way and everything.
Yeah, and you made me think of one more thing I want to sneak in, one more
Yeah.
tool that I have on my phone. There's tools you can use, apps to look at the night sky, and it tells you what you're looking at. So it can kind of give you a little cheat sheet to look at constellations. And is that bright star a star? Is it Venus? What might that be? So that's a pretty cool app that you can download. There's different ones you can download on your phone, and you can look at the night sky that way. Helen, thank you so much. That was so much fun. Shout out to the classrooms. Hope to see you in some more space exploration events. But we are going to sign off for now. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Awesome, Helen.